In this video, we're going to talk to Dustin from our friends at Wazoo Survival Gear, who, by the way, they drove all the way from Texas out here to Georgia to attend the survival training here for the Eco Survival Group. But we're going to talk a little bit about their company and their philosophy, and maybe take a quick peek at a couple of products. That's coming up next here on Survival on Purpose. Welcome back to Survival on Purpose, your home for information and gear reviews related to camping, survival, and general preparedness for regular folks. My name is Brian. Thanks for joining me. So I'm here with Dustin from Wazoo Survival Gear, and we've looked at some Wazoo Survival stuff on the channel before. You know, I've already said many times I think it is extremely high quality, very functional, and well thought out gear. And I'm not just saying that because Dustin's standing here, because I really believe, and you heard me say it. But first of all, thanks for taking time to talk to us.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
So, by the way, you drove all the way from Houston, Texas out here to the east side of Atlanta. How you liking this weather we got here in Georgia?
You know, it doesn't surprise me. We're from Texas. This is not outside of our realm of climate.
Yeah, so you are one of the partners that started Wazoo Survival Gear.
Right.
And you may remember we did I think the first thing we looked at was your survival bracelet, which we kind of took the whole concept of this paracord bracelet. Like, this is one my son made me years and years ago, so it's just a paracord bracelet. Well, you kind of took that to a whole nother dimension with your survival bracelet, with just all the components you put in it. And you sort of freak people out too, because it's not cheap. It's like, you know, over $50 depending on which model you get.
Yeah.
But for that price, you get a whole lot of value, and apparently people are recognize that because the sales been really good on that product, and that was kind of like your flagship product for a while. And maybe it still is. I don't know.
Yeah.
But you've also developed a lot of other stuff, and what I've seen, you got some of the stuff here. We were talking earlier that just kind of about how your philosophy and how you got started, because I like to dig into this. If I see a company that I think is doing a good job, I like to know why, because maybe I can use some of those in my own company, you know, some of those concepts. So just give us a quick kind of a history of how'd you get started. What made you all of a sudden, when you're a guy that you had a business degree or whatever from college, and I think you're like a rock climber and a rappeller and all that kind of stuff, right?
I like those things, yeah.
Yeah, and you wound up making a survival bracelet.
Sure.
I mean, how did that come to pass? And why not making a business out of it?
Right. I'll try to keep this short and sweet, but you know, I also after college I realized real quick that I was not going to go into the corporate world, which was kind of the avenue that my degree was going to take me, and I went into outdoor guiding just by happenstance. Where I was going to college, I got into that kind of lifestyle, and I really enjoyed it. I liked doing things that I got paid to do, what other people pay to do, and I get to have fun outdoors. And so I took that avenue for a little bit longer after college and turned it into somewhat of a career, and then got to travel a little bit around the world doing that. And then at one point I kind of got back to my roots. When I was growing up, I loved survival things for a couple different reasons. I think one of the main things is that it's at its heart, what survival is self-reliance. And what that means is that nature is a leveler. It doesn't care about the parts of life that gets politicized or romanticized. Doesn't care who your parents are. Doesn't care what your background is. It's real, and it imposes its will on you if you're not ready for it. So the individual's strength and the individual's capability to be adaptive is really what is paramount in a survival situation. And so I really have always loved that kind of idealism. I love not accepting that we're victims of our environment, or not accepting that we're victims of our past, and really promoting more of an empowerment of life. And so with survival philosophy, I think that's the opposite. It's more of something that should be promoted as, even if it's not outdoor survival, on a day-to-day basis, I hope that people are empowered. And so when we went into making a business, we tried to take that approach and let it permeate everything we did. And so it's insofar as we make products that people will purchase from us, and they give us their hard-earned cash to say, hey, we support you and we like the ideas that you have. But I think hopefully that it's also a way for them to tell themselves, like, hey, if something happens, I'm going to be ready. It's more because ultimately the number one thing you can ever have in a survival situation is something you can't buy, right? It's an attitude, it's a philosophy. And we've had people who have written in and said, hey, I think one of the biggest benefits of having one of your products on me is that it's a reminder every day that to be prepared, have self-awareness of the situation, and have a philosophy that goes deeper than a lot of people like to do on a daily basis. With so much social media and so much attitude to be a victim, I think that we distract ourselves on a day-to-day basis. And so to remind us to be stronger, what we hopefully do is have a deeper core value of our products that goes beyond of, hey, buy this gear and it'll save your life. No, buy into the idea that you can save your own life, and we're going to provide you tools that will help you if you ever need it.
Yeah, and that's something I was thinking as I've been thinking about your products and your company, that is as contradictory as it sounds. You're a gear company that doesn't have a focus on gear. And, you're selling gear obviously, but from every conversation I'm having with you, from the very first time that I got your bracelet and the literature and the instructions come with it, it seems like you just, again, it sounds contradictory, but your focus doesn't seem to be on gear, on the gear. You're selling gear, but like you said, your focus seems to be on, because really what you've got is pretty minimalist. It's not like you've got like this 1,000 SKU catalog with every possible thing you could possibly get somebody to give you money for, right? I mean,
right.
like some companies, I mean, they got you go the whole wall full of crap at Walmart, right? But you've got a very focused product line that is honestly, it's pretty minimalist. It's not like a bunch of fancy doodad stuff. It's just stuff that is going to work. And like I've said it before, even the tiniest little component it's not the cheapest thing. It's always based on what will perform. As far as I can tell, everything I've tried is not based on what I can get the best price for. It's based on what's going to do the job, and then we'll worry about the price. Which is why instead of coming out with a $40 survival bracelet, you come out with a $90 survival bracelet, because you're not putting the cheapest Chinese junk in it, right? I mean, you could do that, and you probably honestly would sell more bracelets initially.
Sure.
But at the end of the day, I respect that in any company that's willing to say, you know what, this is what we stand for, and we're going to make it or break it based upon that. And apparently you're doing, seems to be doing pretty well. You come out with new products when you're able to learn to throw the atlatl, which is pretty cool.
And that, I mean, that should be mentioned too, is that although we sell gear that uses the latest technology, right? We're going to take the newest thing that we can learn about material sciences and apply it to something that is rudimentary, which is survival. But at the same time, like we were just talking about, the mentality has got to be there too, and skills have to be the utmost. So learning how to throw an atlatl don't just buy your way out of being a self-reliant individual. Always strive to be better. Always strive to have. But I think that what's really cool is when we come to an organization like this, to come to an event with Eco, some of these guys are some of the best in the world at what they do. And for them to wear our products is really one of the coolest things, because yes, a lot of these guys, you can chunk them off. Some of the guys have been dropped off anywhere in the world, like Alan Kay, and then just survived. But for him to wear our necklace on a daily basis means a lot to us. It means that yes, he could, but he doesn't have to rely on that skill. We had a flint napping session earlier today, and the point of the matter is, or when we did bow drills yesterday, you don't ever want to rely on that. That's the last thing. If you're working on using a bow drill for survival, you screwed up several times along the way. Right. So what we've tried to do is say, please learn how to do a bow drill. It's not only going to teach you to be self-reliant in a survival scenario, but it'll teach you a lot of things along the way. As a Boy Scout, it's not always the end result. It's the journey along the way that teaches you more about yourself and the people that you're surrounded with. So these kinds of skills are paramount. But what we've tried to do is make products that say, let's take it down to its most base level and say, what would you need in reality if something happens? What could prevent you from having to go to that extent and rely on that skill set, which is somewhat unreliable depending on your climate or the situation you're in. Yeah. Sorry, I kind of got off on topic on that.
That's exactly the kind of cool information I like. So let's take a real quick look at. I'm wearing the really cool Bushcraft necklace, which they've also got a more modern version with Paracord, but I kind of like the old school with a built-in ferro rod toggle and a ceramic striker. So obviously, if I'm wearing it, it's the utmost in high fashion. But you've also got something I think is pretty cool.
Not this sexiest spread of stuff right here. We just kind of got laid out here for just the
high tech marketing display. But, you've probably seen me wearing the hat. I know actually somebody commented on I was wearing them on the shirts a couple of weeks ago. But something I think is cool is like you mentioned. Like this Bushcraft necklace, the tag is tied on with wax impregnated jute, so you can use it for tinder. the tags for some of your products actually function as coasters. The business card's made out of wood; it can burn. I mean, so you just take you're walking the walk and talking the talk as far as even with your packaging, you try to make it functional, so there's not a lot of waste and there's not a lot of hype. So, so what? By the way,
you like that zombie?
Do we want to show the zombie? This is probably the most labor-intensive item.
It is. It's incredibly labor-intensive. It's really cool. When we made them, we thought, you know what? No one's going to buy these. We can't. We can't. They take us hours to make. No one's going to. Well, people, we've sold so many of those things because they're actually individually numbered. Every single one of them is individually, and every one of them is unique. It takes a lot of love. It's a labor of love. But I think the people. I think if there's anything that after spending a couple years of doing this business, and both my business partner and I kind of taking that leap of faith into a business, I think that's probably the most optimistic way to look at it looking back, is that there's a lot of these things that we did with just a heartfelt mentality that said, okay, here's the thing, we're just going to, it's not cost effective, it's not going to be the cheapest, but we're just going to put it out there because it makes us happy to be able to produce something to the highest quality that we possibly can do. And there's several times, if you look at the road we were taking, it was like, this is stupid. This is not going to work. No one's going to pay $90 for a, quote, paracord bracelet. But you know what? We saw that we thought there was a need for it because we wanted something like that. Maybe there's some other people that think the same thing, and we're lucky to find that there are people who get it. And there's some people who don't get it. And if you're going to go onto your YouTube video and say, hey, I can go to Walmart and buy a $3 paracord bracelet made in China. Absolutely, man. If that's your thing, if you're going to rely on a $3 paracord bracelet made in China at Walmart, that's you. You do you. But for us, we want to actually be reliant on the things that we make. And so if it costs us X amount of dollars to be able to produce it, and we've got to sell it at a certain price point, so be it. It's just how it is. We're going to lay it out there, and if people accept it the way it is, and we've been so lucky that people have. They've seen it, and they've appreciated the hard work and the effort and the mentality we put behind things.
But it's all made here in the USA too, right?
For the most part. I mean, there's some things that are just impossible. There's materials that are just not
some components
made.
you just can't get here. But the manufacturing is done right here, right? You in Houston, right?
Probably one of about 5 people made that necklace right there. Yeah.
So, do we want to talk about the belt?
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
Okay, so this is, we did a quick review of this. This has been a Kickstarter item. I think the one we reviewed had a different buckle, maybe.
Yes, sir. This is
a new deal here, right?
We're at the moment of shooting this video, the current belt for the backers who did the Kickstarter. We have not been able to ship them their current belt. There's one part of the component that we're missing, and that's the buckle. We had a huge issue with the buckle manufacturer. It's going to be a long, drawn-out process. It's not the end right now, but hopefully we'll get that buckle out in the next couple weeks, and we'll be able to take care of the people who took care of us to help us bring this belt to light. But in the meanwhile, what we did is we were able to get a Cobra buckle, the Austro-Alpine Classic Cobra buckle. We actually got a custom one made for this belt, and that one's already sewn up, made, and it's ready to go. We're actually shipped out already the first couple lots in the last couple weeks.
Great. So if you're one of the people that asked me about that, because they happened to see the shirt I was wearing, I guess they're not blowing you off. I mean, they're trying to make sure they're trying to make sure they get the absolute correct, the best.
It is in our best interest to one. We don't want to burn. We do not want to turn over any product that we've been proud of. We have a really pretty stringent QC process that's cost us a lot of money because we reject a lot of products before they go out the door. We don't want any one customer to call and complain about one piece of stitch being out of line. So there's that. We want to make sure that the promises we made we stand by. And then also we can't put a half-done product out there. It has to be fully done, and there's only a self-interest for us to get it out on there. Right. There's no reason. We're not sitting on our haunches. We're not hanging out playing video games. We want the belt to be out there. It's cost us a lot in our business, in our reputation, because this manufacturer kind of slowed us down. So there's no. By all means, we want to get the belt out.
Yeah, but and that's kind of like the two-edged sword when you're dealing with a Kickstarter, though, because you're trying to obviously you're financing to see if there's a viable market for your product and to get them raise the money to do it. But then it's not like you're putting something up for sale. You're putting an idea for a concept up for sale, and then you got to do the follow through, because some of the most successful Kickstarter campaigns I'm aware of that really came out with great products, man, it just seems like this same thing happens. Sure. You know, if people are really committed to doing it right, then that's part of the price you pay for that commitment to excellence, I think.
We've been so excited by how people we thought this was gonna completely kill us because we thought everyone was gonna ask for refunds. The amount of support that we've had has been incredible because the reoccurring thing that people keep telling us is, hey guys, we understand, completely understand, just keep pushing, do what you know, which is quality, and stick by it. We don't want anything that you wouldn't be proud of anyways. So if that's what you're striving for and making sure that when we get it, it's gonna be good, we're cool with waiting. And we've been so blessed to have that.
Cool. Well, we're gonna quit rambling on here. So, but I can't tell you, but I learned a little secret about a new thing that there's going to be coming out soon from Wazoo that I'm really psyched about. I think it's really cool, and I think you will be too. But it's a little teaser. I can't tell you anything about it other than stay tuned because I think it's going to be pretty cool. So, Dustin, thanks so much for taking time, man. I really appreciate it, and thanks for really sticking to your guns and putting out a really good product that helps everybody. I think that matters, and I'm glad to see that happening. There's so much of the opposite going on.
Well, thank you for your support, and whoever watches that has that mutual Venn diagram of liking you and liking us. Thank you guys so much for your support. We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the fact that we had like-minded people who supported us.
And I'm a little bummed that this dude with a business degree and his partner, who is a NASA engineer, just outdid me hands down on the bow drill. So anyway, well, I hope this has been helpful, not too much rambling. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for watching Survival on Purpose. I put out a brand new video every Friday, Saturday, and very often random videos throughout the week. You know the spiel. Click right over here. You can watch a new one. Please, if you're not subscribed, click down here in the corner and do that. I really appreciate it. Once again, my name is Brian. You're watching Survival on Purpose. Remember, survival is not an accident, so be prepared. Wear sunscreen. I'll see you next time.